Welcome to The Zombies, live from South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. The Zombies, live from Same Sky Productions recording studio here in the capital of Texas. I'm Jody Denberg from KUTX Radio. I was going to say good evening, but then I realized people are streaming this all over the world, so hello to you, whatever time of day it is. The Zombies are in Austin for South by Southwest. They have a lot of things going on. And in fact, momentarily, we're going to have a live performance from Colin Blunstone and Rod Argent of the Zombies. But let me tell you what's going on. They have a new album called Different Game. It's out March 31st. There's a brand new documentary about the Zombies called Hung Up on a Dream. It got its world premiere here at South by Southwest Sunday. And in fact, it is screening again Friday afternoon at 2:15 at Zach Theater for those of you lucky enough to be in Austin. In fact, if you are lucky enough to be in Austin, you can catch the Zombies tomorrow at Waterloo Records at 1. Tomorrow night at Stubbs at 11. That's a South by Southwest event. And their official showcase is free to all. It's a gift from the Zombies. Friday afternoon at 5:30 at Lady Bird Lake Community Concerts. Now, there's so much history about the Zombies that I will not tell all of it to you because you're going to watch the movie. But just a little bit of background that these gentlemen met over 60 years ago in 1961. They've made some timeless music over the years. I think the first song that we heard in America was She's Not There. It made them the first British band after the Beatles to reach #1 in America. And then the story goes to Tell Her No and Time of the Season and Odyssey and Oracle. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First of all, welcome Colin Blunstone and Rod Argent of the Zombies.
Thank you very much, Jody. Thank you. Great to be here, Jody. Thank you.
So we think of the Zombies as a British invasion band, and I told you I was friends with Ian McLagan of the Small Faces. Yeah. That band never came to America. They never toured. When did the Zombies first come to America to play?
In 64, Christmas 1964.
Yeah.
We played the Murray the K show at the Brooklyn Fox. And it was great, really, really great. The Shangri-Las, Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, Chuck Jackson, sort of about 14, Dionne Warwick, about 14 fabulous acts. And we opened on Christmas Day, so we played about 7 shows a day.
8 o'clock in the morning, was it called?
Something like that, yeah. But because everyone was away from home over Christmas, even the American artists, obviously, there was a great camaraderie backstage. So this was our first time in America, and we couldn't have picked a better show to start our career in America because everyone was so supportive because we were all away from home at Christmas.
It's so wonderful to hear that your early memories are good. One thing that I've learned about the Zombies and that other people have found out over the years is that your second album, Odyssey and Oracle, which was released in 1968, by the time that album came out, you guys had broken up.
We had. I mean, the thing is, it was in the air that we might break up because we were very much based in the UK at that time, and the world was a much bigger place. You know, much later we found out that we had hits with almost everything over different countries. But we just didn't know. I mean, now you can have a hit in Outer Mongolia and you know it within an hour. You know, but in those days, you just didn't. And we didn't have any hits in Outer Mongolia then either, I must say. But at the same time, Chris, who's in the audience tonight, Chris White, one of the original members, and I, we were the writers in the band. We were doing pretty well because we had an honest publisher, but the rest of the guys had no money. And it was in the air we might split up. And we were desperate to get our own ideas of how our songs should sound. So we wanted to produce an album ourselves if we were going to break up. And we didn't know if we could do it, but we wanted to get our own ideas of how, on tape, just how we saw the songs. So we made Odyssey and Oracle at Abbey Road with some wonderful engineers. Jeff Emmerich was engineering for us, and Peter Vince, who did a lot of the Beatles stuff as well. And we walked in just after the Beatles had walked out. We were the next band in there. They'd left things like John Lennon's Mellotron in the studio, and I leapt on it. And sorry, John, but I never asked him. But I played on it, and it became a little bit of a signature sound on the album. So it was a case of chance and happenstance, you know. But we loved what we got. But then when it wasn't immediately a hit, we broke up and moved on to other things.
But that's just incredible. Time of the Season is one of the all-time great songs, and you guys had broken up and not even played it live. Now, I'm not sure, but I know in '97 there was a Zombies reunion for the Heaven box set. Is that the first time you came back together to start playing these older songs?
It's the first time that the original players played together again since 1997. And it was quite a scary moment, really, because I had a solo band and I was playing at the launch of the box set, but I knew all the original guys were in the audience. And at one point, it was absolutely crammed, but I could see them moving towards the stage. And I thought, what's happening? What are they? No rehearsals, nothing.
And we didn't even know. It was just
it was
the
really
DJ
funny.
pushed us there.
They came on stage, and I was playing with some really, really good musicians. And yet, when they came on stage with no rehearsals, hadn't played together for 30 years, it really took off. And that was,
wow.
I think, one of the first times I realised that together, it really was something special, the Zombies. They had something, I don't know, or maybe should I say we have something?
Yes.
I don't know, I didn't want to sound a bit presumptuous, we have something. But that was the first time I really realised in 1997. They tore the place down. No rehearsals, I had no idea what the first song was going to be.
Wow.
But it was a very, very special night.
Well, we're having a very special night tonight with the Zombies on this live stream. Rod and Collin are going to play some live songs for us. They're going to play some new songs that none of us have heard yet. But we'll talk a little bit more, and then we'll get to some live music. So around the time of the Zombies Heaven box set, beautiful quote from Tom Petty. If a group like the Zombies appeared now, they would own the world. What did the excitement for the box set do to start a new future for the Zombies? You had that gig that you talked about.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah.
nothing immediately, and things just carried on. You know, Collin had started with what was really a good solo band, actually. It was really good. I saw some of his very first concerts, and I thought he sounded great. I never meant to go on the road again, but I remember one little period of time. In 1999, I played a live concert with John Dankworth, a jazz musician who was married to Cleo Lane, and to raise money for a new theatre of his. And Collin was in the audience, and I actually reformed Argent for 40 minutes. I did a little bit of classical stuff, and I played a little bit of jazz things with a trio. John wanted me to do all this. It was called All Music, so he wanted me to do all this. Collin was in the audience. When we did She's Not There in Time of the Season, I said, Collin, do you fancy coming up and joining me on this? And he came up and joined, and it felt like we'd been playing 2 weeks before. It really did. And then Collin had 6 gigs with his solo band coming up, and the keyboard player let him down. And he phoned me up and said, do you want to come and do 6 gigs with me? I said, oh, no, I can't get involved in all that live stuff again. Because my last memories have been carrying huge PAs on the road, you know, real just trouble, and taking a Hammond organ over to the US. In fact, we took my English Hammond over, and it appeared on the carousel at the airport, just like a theatre organ coming up, you know, like a mad theatre organ. And of course, it didn't work that night at all because it was completely destroyed. And I thought, I can't get into all this again. But my cousin Jim Rodford, who was founder member of Argent with me later in the Kinks, he said, it's not like that anymore. He said, it's much easier. And I said, all right, I'll do 6 gigs. And those 6 gigs have turned into 23 years of travelling around the world. It's just been extraordinary.
Thank God. And no schlepping for either of you anymore with the keyboards and stuff. Yeah. We could share a million stories, but so many of these stories can be found in the new documentary, Hung Up on a Dream. And it got its premiere here at South by Southwest this couple days ago. It'll screen again on Friday. This is the first ever feature documentary of nearly 60 years of the Zombies. After you guys met as teenagers from the British invasion, things we're talking about. The guy who directed this movie, his name is Robert Schwartzman.
One of the Coppola family.
And it's his first documentary. I mean, I know he's done, other movies and things. So it's a simple question, how did the documentary come about?
Well, I was really, I had my reservations, and Robert knows this, so I'm not talking out of turn. When he mentioned the idea, I said, I don't know if we can have a documentary, because we were badly managed at the beginning of our career, and none of the original archive footage was ever kept. So I thought, there's not going to be anything to show. But my God, what he's found. He's made a beautiful film. It's really paced wonderfully. It goes from amusement to fascination to being very moving in parts, and I can't give away why, but really so moving. It got a standing ovation at the end of the premiere, and I just think he's just done a wonderful job.
It was really interesting, you know, some of the archive material that he found, we'd never seen. So we're sitting there and seeing these things we're seeing ourselves as 16 and 17-year-old boys for the first time. It was quite an experience, really.
The movie is called Hung Up on a Dream. It documents 60 years of one of rock and roll's all-time great bands, the Zombies. And I want to talk about the new album, and then I was hoping that you would play some songs for us, hopefully some of the new ones as well. The new album is called Different Game.
Yep.
It's released later this month to the world. And my understanding was after you were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2019, you guys were going to get on it and make this new album. But like so many other things, the pandemic derailed you. Is that in essence what happened?
It's exactly what happened, and we couldn't wait to get into the studio. I've only been in my new place for 8 years, and I had a new studio built, but using an outbuilding that was already there. You know, it was converted, and unbelievably, I got the guy who designed acoustically the Abbey Road Studios to design the acoustics for it. And it was sounding great to me, but I wanted to make sure it really worked. We were full of enthusiasm coming off touring, leading up to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where I thought the band was sounding fantastic and really wanted to capture that. We wanted to make an album where everyone was in the same room at the same time in a very old-fashioned sort of way. So everyone bounced off everybody else. Collin would always do a guide vocal. He would alter what he was singing to do with how he was hearing us. We would alter minutely what we were doing against the other musicians and against Collin. And it was very important to us to record the album like that. We recorded 2 tracks. I did what the Stones used to do in the old days. I put them out to a friendly BBC DJ, and he played them at my request on the radio. And I said, will you talk all over the intro and the outro, which I've never said before or since. But I didn't want anyone to record it, you know, and have a pristine copy. And Dale and I, Dale's in the studio there, we produced it ourselves. We wanted to do what we did with Odyssey and Oracle. We wanted to get our own ideas exactly of how the song should sound onto record. And we just had a joyful experience. It was brilliant. But we had to stop because COVID then hit with a vengeance. But it had the unlooked for advantage of giving me a whole year or more to, in peace, write material. So I wrote 9 of the 10 songs on the album, and we just had to wait till we could all get back together again because we weren't going to do it separately. It was very important that everyone was in the same room at the same time. So you capture that sort of little bit of magic that you get from a special take, you know. And it turned out wonderfully, and the initial industry reaction to it has been unbelievable. So I hope that crosses over to the general public when they hear it.
It's a beautiful album. It's a wonderful record. It's called Different Game. And Collin, your closer, The Sun Will Rise Again, just breathtaking. And I look forward to everyone hearing this record. And I want to be clear that what we're about to see is different. This is just Rod and Collin here. When you guys play your showcases for South by, you have a full band.
Yeah.
But we have a special opportunity to hear these songs in a stripped-down setting. So we're talking about Different Game, which is the title track. And you guys were going to play a mini set for us. I'm a DJ. Do I get to make a request? Can we hear Different Game? I mean, can we hear that song?
Absolutely.
Well, we'll give you our best shot. I mean, this is a full thing on the record. We've got a string quartet that I arranged on this particular song and on another couple of songs as well on the album. We obviously can't do any of that, and with the arrangement that we've got, but we'll try and make it work with just piano and voice. So here we go. We should start with Different Game.
such a different game. I know you're feeling helpless, can't seem to find that door to open anymore. God knows it was crazy, now seems such a cold and distant shore. You just wanna feel that same old thrill.
Same old thrill.
You get bewildered when it's different still.
Different still.
Somewhere, somehow, someone must take the blame. It can't be you. Such a different game. Such a different game. It's such a different game. It's such a different game.
Well, it sort of does seem to work in a stripped down version, doesn't it, I think? Or at least. We're now going to follow that with something that everyone knows, and you mentioned it in your introduction speech.
No one told me about her, the way she lied. No one told me about her, how many people cried. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked, the way she acted, the color of her hair. Her voice was soft and cool, her eyes were clear and bright, but she's not there. No one told me about her. What could I do? No one told me about her, though they all knew. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there. Well, let me tell you about the way she looked,
Thank you very much. Well, now we're going to do a track from the album. Again, very stripped down. On this track, actually, this was one I'd written, and I really wanted, when I started it, just to be voice and piano. That was in my head. I think I'd heard something by, I can't remember, it might have been Adele, or it might have, I don't know. I can't remember who it was by. But it was just so simple. And the whole idea on this album was that we were going to have 4 tracks that were full of really a lot of energy. Because some people of our vintage seem to put out albums, and it's like a couple of steps down in energy levels to what they used to do. And that was the last thing in the world that I wanted, because we play on stage, and we quite often have a young component in the audience, and we have young independent bands coming along and, you know, digging things and everything. And the energy we get back from the audience is just enormous. And I wanted to capture some of that on the album. So 4 of the tracks in the albums are real grooves or really rocking things. But it gives you the opportunity then to do some very simple things or some things that you hope are really beautiful ballads as a contrast. And we hope this is one of them. I mean, it starts off just being voice and piano on the album. But then, when you least expect it, a string section comes in the middle. I mean, I hope it's a real surprise to people, because it just absolutely opens up. And where I was originally going to play a solo, it's still there, buried underneath. But, you know, you get this lovely sort of swelling strings. And there's a bit of bass also added. But it's still a very simple track. And we'd love to give you a version of that now. It's a love song. It's called You Could Be My Love.
Would be with you, whatever we might live through times of trouble, if you would be my love. We'd share our fortune underneath the blue moon, or find a new stars above. Maybe, baby, we could begin again. I'm still crazy about you. Can't begin to think without you. So then I could be for you, always would adore you, and I could be true if you would be my love. Something about you makes me know that we two were born to win through whatever life may bring. It's been such a long time, finally you'll be mine. It could be so fine, whatever life may bring. And maybe, baby, we could begin again. I'm still crazy about you. Can't begin to think without you. So then I could be for you, constantly adore you, and I could be true all through trouble and pain. We could begin again.
Okay, we're going to try one more new song. Now, this is a real stonking band song, really. So we're going to give you a stripped-down version of Merry-Go-Round.
Some kind of freedom to take a leap in the dark for your love. No lie to living, you're giving all of your heart for your love. I wanna show you right now because I've noticed this. So come on, just keep on running. I know that you can cover the ground. It's time, just keep it coming. And I will lead you to the place where everything can be found. Life is a merry-go-round. Once there was wasteland with everything that you tried going wrong. But now it's Graceland, you've got the world on your side with their song. I wanna show you right now because I noticed this. So come on, just keep on running. Y'all know that you can cover the ground. It's time, just keep it coming. And I will lead you to the place where everything can be found. Life is a merry-go-round. Don't wanna leave you much longer. Right now you're running with ease. Don't stand alone in the night. Right now you're learning to breathe. Don't wanna leave you much longer. Right now you're running with ease. Don't stand alone in the night. Right now you're learning to breathe. And now it's freedom. Embrace the sun in the sky with your love. No rhyme, no reason. Don't try to understand why. It's your love. I wanna show you right now because I noticed this. So come on, just keep on running. I know that you can cover the ground. It's your time, just keep it coming. And I will lead you to the place where everything can be found. Life is a merry-go-round. So come on. So come on.
Thank you so much. Actually, that's our new single, which is just out. But with the band, of course, not in that stripped-down version. And we would love to finish with another song that you know, this intimate concert. Thanks for being such a lovely audience, as they say. And this one is...
It's the time season. When love runs high, and this time give it to me easy. Let me try with pleasure hands to take you in the sun to promised lands, to show you everyone it's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he take on any time to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly, tell you why I really wanna know. It's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he take on any time to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly, tell you why I really wanna know. It's the time of the season for loving. It's the time of the season for loving. It's the time of the season for loving.
You've been listening to and watching the Zombies live from South by Southwest. We are at Same Sky Productions recording studio here in Austin, Texas. And since these two gentlemen just did such beautiful music, I want to thank our engineers tonight, Andre Contave and Jackie Goff. And the videography and live stream is by Collin Shook. Thank you, gentlemen. Rod Argent, Colin Blunstone, the Zombies. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure, Jody. Thank you.
You mentioned we have a sweet audience, and when you were playing that classic song, I thought, you know, we have Chris White of the original Zombies in the audience,
We did.
who wrote a bunch of the songs on Odyssey and Oracle,
He did.
flew into Austin to see the premiere of Hung Up on a Dream. I know a lot of bands, they don't usually get along decades later. How did you guys maintain this friendship?
I know it's disappointing, really, isn't it? But But in fact, we have, and it's strange, really, because we got together, when we were 15, 16 years old, and for some reason we've never fallen out, and I don't know why that is, but it's still wonderful when Chris hardly plays anymore, but when he comes along and joins us, it's so sweet, and he tells the same jokes as he was telling, when we were 16, and that's sort of comforting in a way.
Well, Chris, it's great to have you here tonight. Thank you. Flew in all the way for the premiere of Hung Up on a Dream, which is the new documentary. And we're with the Zombies here at South by Southwest. And before we sign off, for those of you here in Austin, I will tell you other opportunities you'll have to spend time with the Zombies. But gentlemen, we got some questions sent to us from, I believe, some radio people and from just music lovers. And I thought I would give you a few of these questions before we said goodnight, if that's okay. This one is from Zach Altheimer. He says, are there any new or current bands who you think carry on the torch or the sound of the Zombies?
Well, I think so. And these are bands that have stated on record that they love our music. And they're all young bands. Lemon Twigs, I think, are great. I think Cage the Elephant, who are huge fans of ours, but they've made some great records. And Portugal the Man. And also there's someone on the west coast of America that I was absolutely knocked out with. Our current bass player, Soren Koch, put me onto her, Madison Cunningham. I think she's done some wonderful stuff. So there's a few for you.
And Zach also asks how you find new music. I guess we all have different ways of finding new music.
How do you find it?
Yeah, like do you listen to satellite radio or look online or do people send you things?
I'm very bad at it, actually, and it must be something to do with getting older. When you're 18 and you're going to parties all the time, you hear everything that's coming out just by natural means, because everyone's talking about it, of your generation, etc., etc. I tend to, I do listen to one or two new things if someone turns me onto them, but generally speaking, I sometimes find myself going back to the things I loved when I was really young, like the very early Ray Charles records.
Oh, yeah.
I sometimes spend a whole evening, just listening to his very, very early stuff. That's just an example, really. But I don't know. I think it's to do with getting older, actually.
I have a question here from Kat in New York City, who has sent us several questions for each of you. So I'll pick one here or there. Kat says, Collin, you've written a number of beautiful songs over the years and have released a few of your own albums. The Zombies' new album, Different Game, closes with your The Sun Will Rise Again, which is truly essential listening. Will you have another solo album anytime?
Well, I certainly hope so. I've started a new solo album 3 times in the last couple of years. I'm not sure how much progress I've made, but I would like to make another solo album. But, of course, the Zombies are a band that play all the time. I know we've just had the pandemic, I know, but when we're allowed to, we play all the time, and it does limit the opportunities I have to get into the studio. But yes, I'd very much like to, if the time comes up, I'd very much like to do another solo album, yeah.
And can I just add to that and say that the last track on the album that you're talking about, I know I said I wrote 9 of the songs. The 10th song is one that Collin had played me ages before, a demo of, and he never thought of it as being something to record. And I absolutely loved it. And he played classical guitar himself on it, but it takes him a while to do that. But he laid this down with the exact voicings that he wanted. And we got our beautiful guitarist, Tom, to copy exactly, note for note, these sort of classical guitar voicings. And we recorded it. And I absolutely loved it. And it was always in my head, as one of the joint producers on the album, to finish with this song. Because very often, the Beatles, for instance, used to leave you after an album with a beautiful little thought to say goodbye. Like, and in the end, that beautiful thing. And I thought, this absolutely fits that bill. It's a very moving song. It's about his daughter, but he could tell you all about that. But it's I love the sort of thought that it leaves you with at the end of the album.
And that was Kat in New York City who asked the question that involved The Sun Will Rise Again, which is the final song on the new album, Different Game. Kat has a lot of questions, but we'll just ask one more. This one towards you, Rod. And Kat says, You have said that when the Zombies recorded Time of the Season, it felt special to you. Her question is there a song on your new album, Different Game, that strikes you the same way?
Only 10 of them.
Humble and true. And I'll try one more question here. This one is from Miley Carballo, who says, after seeing the premiere of Hung Up on a Dream and hearing how enthusiastic you all are about getting back into the game with your latest album, it's clear that your love for creating hasn't faded. As a 19-year-old in college with a love for being creative, that's what I want to do in life. What advice do you have for never losing that special spark to create? And you can both answer that one if you like.
Well, when I ask a question like this, I always say the same thing, so I apologise to anyone that's heard this before. But you should do whatever you do with all your heart, and you should be true to yourself always, not try to fit in with current trends or anything like that. Just do what you've got a passion for doing when you start being a musician, and don't waver from that. And the song Merry-Go-Round actually is about that. It's to say life is a merry-go-round, but you've got to stick to what you really believe in, and the wheel will come round, or it has a good chance of coming down, but you have to be ready to take that opportunity when it comes. But just be true to yourself, and always stick with what you know inside yourself is what you want to do, and then you've got a chance of moving somebody else, I think.
And I completely agree with what Rod said, but I always add another thing to say is, remember that being in the arts and the creative arts, it can be a lifetime's career. When we came into the business, bands were expected to have a lifespan of 2 or 3 years. So it was very much a party atmosphere, really. You're touring the world, playing the music you love with your pals, and of course you're ripping it up, you're having a great time. But do bear in mind, and we're living examples of people just about of people who have spent 60 years in the business. So learn about singing technique, learn as much as you can about music, learn about the business, especially learn about publishing. There's so many areas that you can learn about while you're performing and writing at the same time. Just bear in mind, this can be a lifetime's career.
And don't do it just to be a celebrity, which a lot of kids say these days.
Forget about fame and fortune.
Mm-hmm.
Just concentrate on the art.
Be
It might
as good as
sound
you
corny,
can.
but it works.
I love what Dave Grohl said. He said, get with a group of pals, go into a garage and suck. but just stay with it, and something good may well come out of it then, if you love it enough.
Well, Merry-Go-Round, which is a song on the new album, Different Game, is also the name of a tour that the Zombies are about to undertake. After their stint in America and here at South by, they will be in San Antonio and Dallas and Houston, but then after New Orleans and a cruise, they have a month-long tour that begins in England April 5th. So they're going to be busy playing this new album, Different Game, and the classics for everyone. In the meanwhile, if you're in Austin, Texas, you can see Hung Up on a Dream, the documentary which had its world premiere here Sunday. It screens again Friday afternoon at Zach Theater at 2:15. Also, if you're here tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the Zombies return to my neighborhood, to Waterloo Records, where you've been before. So welcome back. Tomorrow night, they'll be at Stubbs at 11, and their official Showcase Friday is open to everybody. It's a gift from the Zombies to all of us. Friday at 5:30 at Lady Bird Lake. Colin Blunstone, Rod Argent, representing their full band who'll be on the road with them. The Zombies, what a pleasure to be with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the Zombies. Good night from Austin, Texas, and good night, Austin, Texas, wherever you are.